Alright, we're back with another video. I've been procrastinating all day and I didn't sleep very well, haven't done very much, but it is a Sunday, so I think I'll let myself off. So, what we're going to talk about today is you've got to stop comparing yourself to other people and the people that you're around, the people that inspire you and the people you want to be like, and people that are doing better than you. And obviously, it's good to have role models, people to look up to, people that you can look at and be motivated by the position that they're in, what they have, how they act, how they behave, that kind of thing. It's okay to be inspired by people and have the role models, but when it comes to constantly comparing yourselves to that person, thinking, "Oh, I'm not as good as them," you've got to think of it the right way. You can't constantly compare yourself against that one person because they've had a completely different life to you, completely different background. Just like their whole story will be completely different to what yours is. And even if you're only 18, you're looking up to a 30-year-old. By the point they were 18, what had they done that was so impressive? What you should be doing is obviously making a role model out of people, out of the right people, and then looking at what they have, how they act, their qualities, and then implementing and using their qualities. But you don't want to be constantly comparing yourself, saying, "Oh, I'm not as rich as this person yet, so I'm not successful, so I can't be happy." You've got to focus on what you believe to be your goal, and you've got to have that set out, and then use your role models, these people that you look up to, that you're not comparing yourself to constantly, but have them as motivation. Say, he did this person did this, I like what that person's done, I want to be like them, or I want to do similar things, so now I'm going to go and do it myself. I'm not doing it for them, I'm not doing it because of them, but they have inspired me and they have helped me. And you've got to realise that you are the only person that's going to make change happen. And if it comes to the point 10, 15 years down the line and you're then successful, you've done everything you set out to do, that's not because of anyone else. That's not because of all the people you look up to. It's not because of all the people that helped you. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's to do two things. One is the amount that you apply yourself and the amount of action you take and the amount of steps you take on a daily basis toward achieving that goal. And the second is luck. Luck will play a big thing, and you've got to believe you are lucky and that everything will work in your favour. And people are like, "Oh, luck's not a big thing, it'll never affect me because I'm something like this," or "Luck isn't that big of a thing, it doesn't matter, it's not real, it's all just you and what you do." And there's a degree to which effort actually applies. Like, you can put in so much effort, but if you're not in the right place at the right time with the right person, then you're never going to make that money, you're never going to get that job. You've got to you've got to be around the right opportunities, and that happens through luck. And I've found I've become quite lucky, and that's because I believe myself to be lucky, to be really, really just blessed almost with this ability of something good will happen because I'm not frugal with how I live my life. I'm generous, I behave nicely, I've got good manners, I try and make people's day, I'm respectful toward people, and just those sorts of mannerisms, it'll help with how you kind of view the world, and how things that you give out will come back to you. But going back to what I originally said, is you can't compare yourself to other people. You can't compare yourself to where they are because they've had such a different life, such a different story. Like, I compare myself a lot to Ilan Gadsden. I'm nothing like him, or at least I used to compare myself to him, and I realise now that I'm nothing like him. He lived a completely different childhood, and he's on a completely different level. And then, even if I was at the same point he is, he was when he was 18, still, it's just a completely different position. And he is extremely successful in every area that he's pursued, and it's extremely impressive. And I'd like to be on that level one day, to have achieved so much. And I'm not saying I have to do that by the age of, 23, but I'd like to do it by the age of 30, kind of thing. I've got time to do it. Time is on my side, and I'm not going to compare myself to him and say, oh, I'm not a millionaire by the age of 20, so I'm a disappointment, because that's not how I want to live my life. Because I've realised that I'm working hard towards my goals, and I know it's going to happen eventually. I've envisioned it. I know that it's just about being in the right place at the right time, doing the right things day in, day out, and eventually it's going to happen, but it will just take time. So when it comes to other people and how you view them, and be them positive or negative impacts, you've got all of the friends that you're around. If you're around the right people, you're going to grow so much faster. And if you're looking up to the right people as well, you're going to grow as well. You're going to grow faster as well, again and again, because you're looking at them and they're at a certain level that you want to be at, a certain level you want to achieve, a certain standard, be it in sports, business, relationships. You can always just look at how they would handle it, and obviously, and just adapt and adopt their behaviours and how they would react in a certain situation, and you can implement that into your own life. But you can't just expect yourself to be identical to them in every way, because you're never going to be, because you're not them. You are your own person, and it's going to, once you accept that you're not going to be them exactly, you can go and start to look at your other things. You can go start to look at your own way of making money that isn't what they're doing, something that might work better with your skill set. And if you play to your strengths, because you could be a completely different personality type to that person, then eventually you're going to win, because it's just, as everyone is different, if you've got a team of people, you all got strengths in different areas. Together you've got strengths everywhere across the board, and you're absolutely just dominating. Then together you can create what you want, and you can make what you want and do what you want. So it's all about being around the right people, and not saying to yourself that you have to be like a certain person, that you have to do this because that's what that person did. You've got to understand that the only reason that you look up to them is because of what they're achieved, and you shouldn't be looking up to them. You've got to look up to them for not just what they've achieved, but how they did it, the process they did along the way, the type of person they are now that they're at that milestone. And you've got to look at them in not just one area of life, you've got to look at them in all areas. And if they're doing really well in a couple of areas, but some areas you don't like about them, then why would you want to be like them anyway? You don't have to compare yourself then. You've got to find the ideal areas that you want to adopt from a few different people. So someone that speaks really well to people, someone's got really good body language, another person that makes lots of money, another person that is really good looking and like fit and healthy, got really good physique, another one that's a really good boxer or a fighter. You take bits out of everyone else's life and then implement them into your own, then eventually you're going to become your ideal person, because you would have progressed in every realm of what you're trying to achieve. So just to clarify, you can't compare yourself to that person that you may look at who's doing amazing when you've had such a different life. Now, if it's someone that you can look at and you say, okay, we grew up together, or like you could say an older sibling, and that you know how they grew up, and you're like, and if you think it's fairly similar, then obviously you can say that, but it's never going to be exactly the same. So be careful who you glamorize and put into that position of a role model for you, because you don't know what they've gone through to achieve that, and it's probably not going to be the same for you if you go along that journey. So just put the right people in the right role model positions for the right reasons. So what do you like best about that person, and then take on the ideal qualities that you want from them, their best qualities, and implement them in on yourself. And that's what's going to put you on that next level, because you're taking what's best from the best people and you're putting them into yourself. So just don't get too overwhelmed with the idea of you have to be like a certain person, a certain millionaire, a certain boxer, because completely different situations growing up, completely different situations as they were going along their journey. You're never going to be exactly like them unless it's a 1 in a billion chance of you recreating every single step that they went through in their childhood, in their teenage years, when they were an adult, going through all of those different steps, making money, whatever it may be. Unless every single step is identical, you're not going to be the same person. And even then, you'll have different parents, you'll have different people that you spend time with, and that's going to influence you differently as well. So just focus on what you can control and use that. Focus on what you want and go and do that. Just keep yourself goal oriented and goal focused, and keep obviously these ideal traits of your role models, keep them in mind, keep them in on the board and on focus, but don't become obsessed with being exactly like that person, because it's never going to happen. Just want to say thank you for watching, and have a look at the next video, which will come out tomorrow. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and we'll see you later.